There seems to be a lot of suggestions that from your opposition friends that they're going to see a repeat of the Ralph Klein cuts from the 90s out in your government.
Well, I've said from day one that that's not necessary if we get ahead of the problem soon. If we can get the economy growing again, there don't need to be deep cuts. We will need a period of sustained fiscal restraint, for sure. And we have to find efficiencies. I think we can do that while protecting, and in fact, in many cases, improving the quality of frontline services. The NDP is spending 15% more on healthcare, for example, but waiting lists have grown. Getting less for more is not something to celebrate. The NDP is obsessed with, they think the measure of success is how much they're spending, not the actual outcomes in terms of class size or surgical wait times. Our focus will be on finding those efficiencies. Asking our friends in BC, for example, how do they deliver health and education for 20% less per person? Shouldn't we be asking that question? Why is it some kind of crime, according to the NDP, to ask how other provinces deliver similar services more efficiently, in some cases with better outcomes? So these are the questions that we'll be asking. If we can get the economy growing at about 3% a year, we can hold spending at zero, we get to a balanced budget by about 2021. That's not the platform, but that gives you an indication that we don't, the boogeyman of 20% cuts is a fiction of the NDP's imagination.
But how do you feel about, no matter how many times you say it, no matter how many times you're quoted, no matter how many months go by of saying the same thing, you are still being cast as Ralph Klein circa 1993 and the kinds of, like you say, 20% cuts over 4 years.
Well,
I mean,
let's not forget,
they keep saying that no matter what you say. You know, even if you say this today, they're still going to say, we want Jason Kenney to come clean with his hidden agenda.
That's just classic NDP politics. It's fear and smear, and it's going to get louder and more intense as we get closer to the next election. I predicted it from day one. We're not going to let it deter us. We'll be presenting a realistic platform to reignite the economy and get to a balanced budget in the first term of government in a thoughtful and careful way. So I think that's what Albertans demand. Albertans understand that there is no alternative. The only alternative is massively raising taxes, and that kills more jobs. So what we're saying is either we keep kicking the fiscal can down the field, or we deal with it through some fiscal responsibility. Albertans are grown-ups. And by the way, I'll let you in a little bit on our polling. If debt and deficit are the second top issue in the province after the economy generally, and 3/4, nearly 80% of Albertans are saying deal with the deficit through spending restraint. So they get it. They have to balance their own budgets at home, in their businesses, in their nonprofits. And so they're not scared of the idea of carefully restraining spending.